And now I would like to turn it over to Kelsey.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kelsey Stalter, the Florida Library Youth Program Coordinator. Thank y'all so much for joining us today. I'm really excited to get these work groups going. And I know we have a lot of topics we can focus on and a lot of things we can do to help all of our libraries. So I'm going to share my slideshow. Do you see my slides? Perfect. Oh, I thought I hit slideshow. There we go. Okay. And we're going to switch it. Trying. Yes, please. I'm sorry, y'all. We just practiced this before and now I cannot do it. Oh, it's hiding.
Okay, there you go. Swap preserver.
There we go. Okay. So now y'all should see the right slides. Okay. So FLYP Workgroups 24-25. We are going to be collaborating. It can be library staff or retired librarians who want to work to create useful resources for our libraries. So based on some feedback that I've seen from surveys from this year and last year, I have kind of picked two topics, and we certainly can change it, but the two topics that I'm kind of thinking of focusing on are teen and tween programming and then services for sensory patrons. But as these work groups get going, the work groups will decide what the topics are going to be. And any staff member of a Florida Public Library can apply to be part of the work group. You don't have to be in youth services. So, oh, did I go too far? The time commitment. We'll meet once a month as a whole group. And then once we kind of get the work groups going and we pick at least two projects that we're going to break up and work into, you'll also meet at least once a month with your work group that I will facilitate that meeting as well. And then you may be doing a little bit of time on your own to kind of pull stuff together to put into whatever topics we decide we're going to focus on. So we know your time is valuable. You know, if a meeting finishes early, we're going to let you go. If there's a reason you can't attend, you know, for a time, that's fine. Just let us know. We're going to be flexible. We know y'all have a lot going on. But we want to put together these resources that libraries can use. Am I missing any questions? Yes, the meetings are virtual. Although I do hope to do some in-person trainings later this year. All right, so timeline. I did send out the application already, but Rebecca's going to drop it into the chat as well. The applications are due by October 31st. I will start going through them as quickly as I get them. It's a very simple WUFU application. Our first meeting will be in November before the Thanksgiving rush. In December, we'll break up into at least two work groups, pick our projects, and then you'll sign up for one of the two projects. January, we'll have the monthly meeting, and then you'll have your work group meeting, and we'll continue that through February and August. And then hopefully by August and September, we've kind of finished this year's work group and we're preparing for next year's, and we'll send out new applications and have new topics. Are there any questions so far or comments? Oh, sorry, did not mean to go to that. I'm trying to scroll through, make sure there's no hands raised that I'm missing. The general meetings would last no more than an hour. Thank you, Lisa, for asking. Other questions? Okay. No, there's no fee because you're going to be doing the work. So we're all going to work together to create the materials. You just have to be able to give us an hour or two, once we get into our work groups each month to work on whatever projects we're working on. So the goals, if it goes, there we go. Um, so again, I selected the teen programming and sensory sensitive patrons based on some feedback that I had seen starting from last year and a little bit into this year. But again, this is for y'all. This is for the libraries. So if there's something that has a greater need, I know AI in the libraries has come up, literacy, like early literacy, supporting schools. So those may be things we decide to do instead. Um, I want at least 2 projects this year. And if, we get through and we're getting through those projects and we have like a little toolkit for 1 or 2 of those, then we can add another topic and another project. Or if we just have everybody that wants to do it, we could have more than 2 projects going. So um, that's that. And now, really, this is time for questions and answers. Um, so I do not have examples of projects done in the past. My predecessor from a couple years ago had she was beginning to start these up, and then I think COVID came and she resigned from her position and took another position. So the work groups have not been active. They were just a formation of an idea. Um, so these are things that we're going to work on that we want to do. What kind of teen programming do you have that works? What kind of things for sensory sensitive patrons do you have that works? And we're going to kind of make our own toolkits that we can share with all the libraries. So that's the end of my slideshow. So I'm going to stop sharing, I think. Uh-oh, I don't know what I just did. Did I disappear? I can't see a thing. There we go. Okay, sorry. I'm getting too click happy. Rebecca also dropped in the information booklet. It has this basically the same information that I just kind of talked about, what the commitment would be. Again, the general meetings are about an hour less if we don't have that much to talk about. And then your work group meetings would probably be about an hour or so. And you would just be figuring out what each person's going to kind of do and then come back together the next month and start putting stuff together. Oh, I do not. Oh, I do see it. These are general toolkits or with a summer reading challenge focus, or is that a separate work group? We can do it however we want. It can be summer reading focus. It can be just trying to get teens and tweens into the library. The work group's going to kind of decide what the needs are and what they want. I, am happy to bring in ideas once we kind of narrow it down, but I want this to be for y'all and what you need. So the work group is kind of decide what the focus is going to be and what it needs to be. So questions, ideas? Hi, Kate. We're glad you can go. Yes, anybody in the library, the public library can work with this. it could even be somebody who recently retired from your library and wants to stay involved. We just want people who, I mean, y'all have the best ideas. So it doesn't have to just be youth programming. It can be teens, it could be adults, because we might bring in, something that works for another group at your library that might work for the projects we decide. Um, so I'll be putting together all of the stuff that y'all send me, and then we'll be putting it on our website, hopefully, and then emailing it out to the library so that they all have access to it. Evelyn, if that answers your question. Okay. Other questions, comments? Yes, it'll be on our website and then emailed out. Um, and Kate, do you have any specific questions? The um, link for the booklet and the application are in the chat. How would the groups, y'all are gonna, I mean, obviously, if everybody that wants to be on the work groups decides on one project, we're going to have to kind of split it up into two. But y'all know your areas of expertise. You know where you can be most helpful. So once we kind of narrow down our two topics to start with, hopefully we'll kind of evenly break out. Rebecca, will you drop the application link again? Thank you. Um, you know, evenly-ish dispersed throughout the two work groups. And you'll choose. I don't want to have to assign people. I may ask people, hey, could you help with this one? Because we only have 4. So, and then Patty needs the booklet again. Thank you. And these also will go out in the recording when Rebecca sends it out. Other questions, thoughts? Do y'all have thoughts about what you think a good focus might be? You're welcome to unmute or type it in the chat. Do we like teen and tween programming and sensory sensitive? Do we need something more for younger kids? What do we need? Teen programming. Yeah. Yes, multiple people from the same library can, and youth services can both apply. I'm hoping we have enough people that maybe we can do 3 projects, but my goal to start with is 2. Because I don't want to put too much of a burden. We want to come up with some good tools that we can share with all of the libraries. But I don't want it to be too much of a burden. Y'all have a lot going on. Yeah, so teens and tweens. Yeah, and I know that borderline, it's easy to clump the teens and tweens together, but there can be a vast difference between them. I know if you have food, it's going to bring both of them in, but you need to do something besides just food. So, we can figure that out. But I think if we do teen tween programming as one of the topics, we can split it down into teen, tween, and maybe both. And then whether it's sensory sensitive, AI in the library, early literacy, or supporting literacy from schools, do those. Yes. Yes, adult literacy is great. I have been working with Katrina Harkness, who is our adult literacy consultant, quite a bit. We are trying to collaborate a lot more and do like we did with the library math cafe and math literacy. We're hoping to do a lot of other joint trainings. So we could bring some adult literacy into some of the other stuff that we're doing, like especially with our sensory sensitive patrons, if that's the direction we decide to go in. Or, I mean, y'all might have other topics. So, um, I just want to be able to create tools that y'all can use. Family children programming, getting teens and tweens. Yes, collaborations with school librarians. And that can be sometimes great. Some librarians at schools are really eager to collaborate. Sometimes we need to help them realize how helpful libraries are. Yeah, getting teens in the door. Yes, early programming besides story times. Story times are great. They have a lot of um, educational value. They're really fun. Parents and kids like them, but there's a lot more that young kids can do. So I think we could, come up with a lot of great ideas. Yes, multiple members of the same youth services can join. Um, yes, sensory programming. And there's a lot of, you know, more recent research and resources that we can pull from to support sensory programming for our sensory sensitive patrons of all ages. So even though we're kind of youth services focused, because that's my position, we can certainly broaden a lot of these topics to include all ages. They don't believe you when they say all ages. Well, we just have to show them. We have to show them what fun it can be. And, um, I think social media can be big for that. I'm not great at the social media aspect. I'm trying to get better at it. But I think showcasing what it really is can be huge. And word of mouth starts to get around. Ooh, book clubs. Mm-hmm. And I know some libraries are still doing a virtual version um, with their in-person version. One challenge results in families bringing younger children that they couldn't do independently. Yeah, so there's some things that really have to have an age limit. Um, or we have like just a smaller separate thing that they can do. Yes. Kate, go ahead and unmute.
Hey, sorry, not to
No, no,
detract
no, perfect.
from the conversation. We have a tween program. It's pretty popular. We call it Will Draw for Food, and the concept is we do a really messy either art project or like a STEM project, and we also have make like a quick snack that kind of goes along with it. But I'm very, very
I like that.
strict with everyone on age limitations. And I mean,
Mhm.
not that I've gotten in a full-on argument with parents before, but I'm not afraid to make a parent a little upset with me just to have them respect boundaries. So our tween group is from 8 to 11, and our teen group is from 12 to 18, and they haven't graduated high school. So once you graduate, you're kind of on your own there, but they know that,
Yeah.
and the kids know that. So, but what it ends up being is everyone ends up happier because the kids in each group realize that we're advocating for them and that they
Mhm.
have their own space within the library. And then the tweens are so excited to graduate and go do teen stuff. So I just make those boundaries very clear. All my advertising has age limits on it. And
Mhm.
then we have signups. And as they come in, if a kid looks like a little, if I don't know them, I'm like, how old are you, sweetie? I mean, ask the kid, not the parent. The kids
Oh
won't
yeah,
lie.
ask
The
the
parents
kid.
will lie. Just don't be afraid to set that firm boundary. Um, because eventually they're going to thank you for it in the future.
Yeah, and like a lot of the comments I've said, the tweens want their own space. They don't want to be with the little kids. They don't, quite feel comfortable with all of the teen, like especially the older teens. So they want their own space. Um, and it might be, yeah, like we're 8 to 11, 8 to 12. This is our age group. Um, you're welcome to take your younger child and explore the library, go to the kids section, do whatever, but this is just for this age group. And when your other child is this age, they're welcome to join. Yeah. So advertise age ranges on everything, point it out. Tween is grades 5 to 7, teens are 8 to 12. I like that. Did we miss any other questions? Do y'all see anything, or do you have something that I missed? Are there any other thoughts, any other ideas? Oh, a yum club. I mean, honestly, if it's got food, a lot of kids are going to want to come. Oh, I like the adulting classes for teens. You hear, you know, and read about, the memes of my kid went to college and didn't know how to boil water or whatever. So I think it is important, they need to know how to cook basic things. They need to know financial literacy. They need to know, how to write a resume, how to write a proper introduction letter. So there's a lot of things that they need to know how to do when they go off to trade school, college, straight into the workforce, whatever it is that they're going to do. And I think adulting classes, or adult boot camp or whatever you want to call it, is great for them. Can even throw in some self-defense type stuff, dressing for job interviews or whatever. Any other ideas? Oh, parents and boundaries. Yeah. You just gotta be strict. And just say, these are our age groups. Yes, Kate, I agree. Talking to the admin ahead of time so that they're supportive is going to be really important. What about besides teen and tweens? Other topics that you can think of? Oh yeah, adulting classes with community agencies. That's great. Oh yes, multi-generational programming, elder programming. Um, oh, I like the Mid-Florida Credit Union. Um, Partnering with the local Rotary Club. Oh yeah, resume building, college scholarships, um, financial aid with the FAFSA being a little late and messed up and confusing. Um, I do love cross-generational volunteering for teams, love building community partnerships. The lack of support from a supervisor, does anyone have any suggestions? I know our patrons are our customers. We want them to be happy, but the programs are for specific age groups. Yep, teen library advisory boards, volunteer hours. Oh, Ginger, I like that. Create written policy posted everywhere. In the library websites, on flyers for the events. I mean, we're not saying they can't stay at the library. We're just saying they can't be part of that program. So they're welcome to explore all the other wonderful things that the library has. Does anybody want to expand cross-generational programs, community partnerships, any specific ideas? Um, let's see. So Ginger, Aaron asked a policy for youth services program specifically. I don't know that it would have to be for youth services program specifically. I think it's just if a program is set for a specific age, that's the age that will be permitted to attend. Ginger, do you or anybody else have anything else about that? Stevie, will you expand on community partnerships for us?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I am actually originally from the Mississippi library system, and we had no monies. Um, so when we did end up with programs, we would often bring in sorry, I just went blank. We would often talk with our schools. We didn't have a lot of schools in the area, but we did some ELA and ELS stuff with them. They'd bring their groups to the library. We'd have translators. It was a kind of a small scale thing, but that idea kind of morphed when I came here and I was became the senior youth services human. And especially with our summer reading program, we have a lot of cultural agencies like the Pensacola Opera and the Little Theater and other places that are almost exclusively downtown, but they have outreach programs. So since our across Escambia County, we have Cityside and then very rural locations across the whole county. We schedule the same program at all of 7, about to be 8 of our locations, and they're free to us and they're free to the public, and they provide access to a thing that people probably wouldn't get otherwise, especially kids on the north end, because they can't get downtown. They're an hour and however long away from downtown. They're never going to make it to the Sanger. But they might then, see what's going on and be interested in it and feel like they can actually do other things. We've also been able to get kids into workshops with the symphony and other things like that through kind of scholarship and such.
Okay.
So it's kind of really knowing what your community has, because sometimes you don't know it's there.
Right.
And saying it, makes it sound really simple, but then you have to dig on it really hard to figure out, like, will the fire station come to the library? Well, who do we ask? We have a jurisdictional issue. We have city and county. So only city fire departments can come to the library, and the cities or city side for jurisdictional reasons. So that's 3 of my locations. And then I've got 4 locations that are county only. So if I want everybody to come for fire prevention week, who do I go talk to? Right. So wow. That's was the angle I was suggesting.
Okay.
And
no, I think it's great. Does anybody else have anything about community partnerships or anything they want to add or ask? Okay, well, I'm going to go back to the question about create the policy and post it for the age groups. I like what Ginger said about to ensure quality experience for our attendees. And then Kate added in about listing the materials that they're allowed to use is for more advanced excuse me, ages than they're using different materials that younger kids may not be safe using. So I think that would help too. But I like creating a quality experience for the attendees. And I think that's something hopefully admin would understand. And then Monica was talking about the art program with the intergenerations. I love that. 10 plus sharp objects. I like it. Yeah, and Ginger making a similar program for them at their level. Maybe instead of hot glue guns and sewing needles, they use the stickers that they can put on, or regular glue and buttons, or something that doesn't need the hot glue to hold it. But could be in a separate room so that the teens and tweens are still getting their space, their time. I know sometimes, depending on the size of the library and the staffing, that might be difficult. But we do want to respect the different age groups and them needing their space. Sorry, got a tickle in my throat. Yes, my child is gifted, but it's still an age. I mean, I think that's just what you say, like, we still have to follow the age cutoff. But these are all things, that as a work group, yeah, my child's so mature, but still not 11 years old, so they don't get to come. We can kind of hopefully, as we're working in the work groups, come up with, some things that might be helpful. Yes, Stevie, I agree with that as well. So I'm gonna have Rebecca go ahead and stop the recording. We can keep talking